the Millennium School Dubai, and that's my colleague Anu who will be helping me today with the workshop. I'm sure everybody knows what's the topic of the workshop. Before we begin, I just want to know you all are math teachers. Yes. So I just want to ask, how many of you like math? We have taken math. Okay, as kids, how many of you all liked math?
Many of them.
Yeah, you all liked.
Yeah.
So it would be so nice, like as teachers, if we all had kids like this, it would be so good for us. But then we don't see that always. There are many students we see that despite of all the gadgets they have, all the technology they are exposed to, many find it boring. Not all maybe, but definitely many find it boring. So,
rather than boring, they find it difficult.
Difficult, yes. But why it's difficult? Because they don't have their attention. If something catches our attention, we pay more attention to it, we understand it better. They don't understand it better because they find it boring. Now, for some it is like that. And then there are other difficulties also. Now, the same set of students, if we see when we enter into an art class, or when I go into an art class, the same set of students, I find it difficult for them to keep their work aside because they are so engrossed in doing that. So, is there a way to integrate both, to combine both this math? No, sorry. That's what we see. Math is boring, okay, but art is fun. Now, is there a way to combine both, to use art to teach math? Okay, that's what we are going to see in our topic, how art brings color to math. Now, what we usually see is math is used, mainly what we see is math is used in art. Okay, we see that many artists have accepted that without math there is no art. Okay, there are many sayings by many great artists, many mathematicians also about how, there are some saying, this Galileo, this Luca Pacioli. The one that catches my attention is saying by Leonardo da Vinci, which says that the merit of painting lies in the exactness of reproduction. Painting is a science, and all sciences are based on mathematics. No human inquiry is science unless it pursues its path through mathematical exposition and demonstration. Now, in many of the Leonardo's work only, there's Mona Lisa, there's the Last Supper, we see that he has used this mathematical concept called golden ratio. Many of the, we can say the Pyramid of Giza, this golden ratio is used. So we see that using math in art is very common. But what is uncommon is using art to teach math. Okay? The question arises when we think about using art to teach math, the question arises how? How can I do it? Can I do it? The apprehension lies between the teacher saying that, for me example, I am good at math. I won't say I'm very good. Yeah, I teach math, so I am a little bit good at math. But at the same time, when my son comes to me for any artwork, I conveniently push it towards his father and say, you are equally responsible, you take care of that, because I am scared of art. So, when I can't do it for one kid, when I have a 30 plus students, there are my apprehensions whether can I do it, what will happen, will I be able to do it. But then little bit of work that I have done in my class, I've seen that I don't have to be an artist to take art and teach math. Okay, I just have to guide them, I have to be a mentor. Okay, and there are so many things at our disposal nowadays. There is YouTube, internet. Okay, you show one video and the students will pick up and they will do much more than what you can also think. So we don't have to be artists to teach math through art. Okay, it will just come. Now, what will happen? What can happen if I integrate art with math? Certain objectives can be achieved. Some of the objectives are like to help the teachers make math more interesting and useful, than to help teachers improve students' ability to see math in real-world situations, to aid teachers in helping students understand the math through art projects, and to awaken the mathematician using art. Okay. Now, as I said, what will happen if I integrate art? Now, there are students who are very good, they are artistically gifted, I can say. They are very good in art. Okay? The same student, when we see, when it comes to math, he might not be able to perform well, he or she. But if I use art to teach math, certain art concepts to teach math, then what will happen is his talent will be used over there and we will give him a chance to shine. I am not sure about it, but it goes like when you use art, you use the left side of your brain, and then when it is math, it's the right side. And then when we do a combination and the whole brain is activated, I'm sure the results will be good and better. Okay? Without, I think, so further ado, let us do some activity and check. Sorry, let us do some activity and see how we can teach. There are many. When I went to the net, and there are so many things on net. I picked up a few and I tried it in my class, and yeah, it was good. Let us do some activities and see how we can use art to teach math. We have talked so much about it. Let us do an activity. For that, I want you all to be into groups. Maybe a group of 4 in each group, and you will have to do some work. So that's what I wanted a table. So if you could please move. I hope it's checking to you all as well. You all are here? Yeah. You all fine there? Yeah. So, using the 3 colors, you have to use just 3 colors, and you have to make any pattern. It can be a random pattern, you can do a cartoon, it can be anything. But 3 colors have to be used, and in one box, okay, one square box, you use just one single color. Do not shade it with 2 different colors. That's what you make the design first. Okay, it can be a random pattern. You can do some cartoons, something, anything. Then I thought about restricting the colors. So the next class I restricted. I said 3, or you just use 4. And then the students asked, white, can that white become one color? Okay, because they will come, they will keep asking, and they will come up with something. So then this is what we'll be doing with it. Okay, this one slip for each group. Now, thank you. Okay. Now what you're going to do is you're going to mention the colors that you have used. Mention the colors that you have used. Mention the number of colors that you have used. For example, if you have used orange and you orange in maybe around 12 squares, then you write 12. The same way for each color. Then you express it as a fraction. Now when the students have a background of fractions, they'll say, okay, 12 orange colors I have used. Out of how many? Everybody knows it's 100. So they write a fraction for it. Then they write the decimal for it. Okay. Now percent is something they do not know. But then we can stress, because this is a very low, so grade 4 or 5. At that time we can tell them percent, per 100. So you use this percentage symbol, and whatever you see, you write it with using that symbol. This is just the basic idea of percent. The whole idea about this activity is to tell them to find out the fraction, decimal and percent equivalent. Okay? Yeah. Then once you do this, now you can add it. Okay? I want you to add and see that the fraction, you add the numerators, the denominator is the same. You tell me what do you get. The decimal, okay, they might not know the addition at that time. You just tell them that you have to align the points one below the other and add it as you would normally add it by carrying over and all that. Okay. Now what they will get is, in the fraction part, what do you think we will get the sum as?
How many colors by 100? Total number.
Yeah. So see, now you have done 16 by 100, 17 by 100 and 17 by 100. When you add, what do you get? Obviously you will get 100 by 100. So 100 by 100 is nothing but 1. So now they know that fraction for a fraction, a whole is 1. When it comes to decimal also, when we will add, we will get 1.0. That's same as 1. But there they know that a whole for a decimal is also 1. When they add the percentage, they get it as 100%. So what's a whole for a percent? It is 100. It's a basic concept to be taught, nothing much we are teaching from here. A little bit of addition that we can teach, a fraction addition. Fraction addition they will know, because we have already gone to decimals. Decimal addition they will know. What is percentage? Just with the symbol they will know. And the idea of whole and the idea of the equivalent. What is the percent equivalent for this particular decimal? What's the decimal equivalent for this particular fraction? So that's just the basic idea, the basic thing that can come with this activity, nothing much, because it's for that level. So I hope you liked it.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's do another activity.
No,
Or
I
we'll
have a question.
tell them.
This is for the children who already understand.
Fraction,
No,
yes.
they already understand.
Yeah, fraction they already.
What is percentage?
Yeah, no, not percentage. Percentage we will tell them what is percent, just the
Fraction.
basic.
Yeah, and the fraction. They already
Yeah,
know.
fraction they
They
already
just know. Even if they don't know fraction, also we can.
They can-
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can. But for whom I thought they already had the
No,
background
we
of
can-
fraction. Yes, we can.
We can use this in many different forms now. Once you got an idea,
Yes.
we can use it in many different forms.
See, you can use it only to teach fraction first. Then you can come up with the
Yeah, we
decimal
can do
and
it.
percent equivalent.
Other way that you, yani, what you want to.
Yes,
Yeah, that's what we
yes,
can
yes, yes.
We can incorporate in
And
many
yes,
different ways.
at the time, no need to introduce all that
But
decimal and
this I find
percentage.
it interesting because it's really difficult. When we teach, it's very easy for the children. But when you quiz them, it's always a problem. Changing from fractions to
To
decimals.
decimal, yes.
to
The main
fractions,
idea
and
is to
fractions
teach this
percent.
equivalence. Yes.
And believe me, after learning in grade 5, again in grade 6, they are
They are blank. Yes, they are absolutely. We have to start from again from scratch in grade 6 and the other portions are pending. We are only bothered on the portion, finishing up the portion. Let's do one more activity. I think so. We
Yeah, so
Okay, I will show you.
in touch with the coaches, they will
That
they
gives
will
clarity.
Yeah, they will more.
In the class they will be interesting, but then out they will find it
No, yeah, when we teach that they have time.
Yeah.
When you quiz them, you can.
So some of the what we do is it is like using when we give them colors or when we tell them the colors, we tell them to use one dark, one light color because of the optical, it looks good. And this helps in understanding the decimal, percentage and fraction equivalence. So some of my student work that they had done it, they come up with all the things. Okay, many things I have only learned what to do and where to stop and how to go. I just had to tell them and they just did it. Now the next activity, yeah, they did Minecraft. They had sceneries and I don't know so many things and it was nice. That was the best thing that I heard is wow, yeah, it's so cool. It doesn't look like a math. That was the best thing I could hear from them. Okay, the next activity is okay. Now maybe do it. I think the same group we will sit and okay more of let's do it and as well as I'll tell it also because then maybe we might run out of time. This is okay. What we are going to do is you have to make fit this pieces that you have, the color pieces that you have into that paper that I have given. Now in such a way that when you combine these pieces, there should not be any overlapping. Okay, and there should not be any gap in between. Sides, I don't mind if there are gaps, but in between there should be no gaps. Not they should overlap. Okay, then you can make any design. Yes. This page, just to keep it as a base. You want to stick it or yeah, we want to stick it. Yes, I'll give you This is also just the basic level only. We can see that some of you all have got regular hexagons. Okay, regular hexagons. Some have got regular pentagons. Some of you all have got just pentagons which are not regular. Some have got any random shape. Then we can do with triangles. We can do with squares as well. The basic idea, first thing that we can tell them is when we use polygons to do a tessellation. What's a tessellation? Any figure which does not have any gap or any overlapping. The figures that we draw, the polygons that we draw should not overlap or have any gap. Now one thing they know that the regular tessellation. Okay, the regular tessellation is with a regular figure. So what they know is as here they have got regular pentagons and they are not able to make a design, whereas a regular hexagon you are able to make a design. So there they will know that with triangles, with squares and with hexagon regular tessellation is possible, and these are the only three regular figures which tessellate. Any other figures, for example, they concluded that they cannot do a tessellation with a regular pentagon. Then we have irregular shapes, like for example irregular pentagon, you can tessellate an irregular pentagon. So So that's what they will learn. Instead of we telling them that this is a tessellation, these are the figures that tessellate, these are the ones which do not tessellate, they do it for themselves. They make a figure, they make a canvas for themselves, and from there they know that okay, these are the figures that are tessellating, these are the ones which are not tessellating. We can go deep into it. We can do some semi-regular tessellation also using different types of shapes, some regular, some irregular, and then there are some demi-regular tessellations. Like for those which we can do, we can in fact tell them to create their own tessellation. Now how, this is some of the same thing I had used and done it in class. It was fine. Now how to make your own tessellation? This one thing we can do is, what they will do is, first one, a square piece. Okay, we ask them to cut it around the edges in such a way that the vertex should be intact. It should be from one vertex to the other vertex. Now that design can be anything. Over here is just randomly cut. You can have a design like this, or you can have something, what shape you do inside doesn't matter. Then what you do next is you take that piece out, you cut that piece out that you have drawn and put it on the other side, that is below. Once you do it, you get such a shape. Now with this, between different colors, tracing it, you can cut many shapes of this side, and when you place it on the paper, they will tessellate. These are the demi-regular tessellations, they will tessellate. It is you cut from vertex to vertex, any design or any shape. Okay, this also we can do. You can use different colors, we can help them cut it, and they will make their own tessellations. So this is one activity, one more thing addition to it that we can do. Okay. So that's about this activity. I hope you'll have liked this one also. I will not stick it, it's fine, no problem. Okay. So there are there are some links that I will give you at the end where I have gone and seen. There are innumerable activities that you can do, and these are the visual art that we are using. The visual art to teach. There are performing arts also which we can use. Many topics are for higher classes also, like for the pi, the Fibonacci series, sequence. So many things you can teach. This golden ratio. So many can be taught using this art. And for the lower levels also, performing arts. For example, using music to teach some multiplication tables. Then there is music notes that you use to teach fractions. The notes are in the type. There is 1/4, there is 3/4. Those notes to you teach fractions. There is that. Through dance you can teach pi. Okay, there's a dance that you can do, to explain pi. There's so many things for higher grades as well. Okay, now I'll just hand over it on to my fellow students.
Yeah,
About some more topics.
Your small topic, I just want to share it. Actually, all of you know what is origami is? Origami. Many of you know how to make the models and all, right? Mostly our students will be very good in making it and they're very fast. When we can use it in math? Any idea?
For shapes.
For making the shapes and all. Okay. Normally in the lower classes for making the shape. Before introducing the chapter geometry, you can tell them to make some models. Like I have some basic models like it's a frog and a bird and all. Just let them make the shapes, and when they unfold it, just see what pattern they can see. This one of my student did it. See, inside we are getting that concentric geometric pattern. So using this before teaching the polygons, especially for special needs students, actually they won't by heard the names of the shapes and the number of sizes. So they might be good in doing all these origami shapes. So before teaching the congruent triangles for the higher classes also, introducing the topic is very important, how we are introducing it. Instead of starting directly from math topic, just tell them some other thing like art, any. So this is something very good example that we can use it in our class to show the different types of angles or the triangles, the different polygons, and what else that showing the angle bisection or angle trisection. There are many models. If you go to the YouTube, you will get all the models. You know how to make it. It's not very difficult. It's very easy to make the models. And it is showing there is one squash folding in origami. It is actually showing the angle trisection. So these all we can use it in primary and the upper primary classes. Okay, so all this they have done it. If you will open it, you will tell them to trace out the folded part. You can see the concentric geometric patterns. Okay, not only this, there are many in how you will introduce if the topic is symmetry. How you will introduce in the class.
Yeah, I've used this for symmetry.
Symmetry you have used it. Okay. Just showing some patterns or butterfly. Instead of that, if you are telling the students to bring some their photographs,
So also
they can bring their photographs. Okay, one part, let them cut it out, let them draw it exactly. So this way you can explain exactly the lines of symmetry. So they will not forget. If they have done it for their photograph, they will not forget what is that line of symmetry. And you can use it for the multiple for doing the multiple lines of symmetry. If you're giving just simple shape like this and tell them to design something, similar designs in each. So you can easily show the multiple lines of symmetry. There is one. One of my student has done it. This is the one. So exactly we can show what is the lines of symmetry and how many lines of symmetry in each object. Instead of just have a discussion in the class, let them do something and learn from that. It will be good for them. Okay. Yeah. And there will be many have problem in using the compass. How to use the compass, drawing the circles and all. Before starting exactly the what is circle, diameter, just tell them to make some pattern using the compass. Let them practice. Let some art form. Their imagination should come out from their mind. And if you are getting like this pattern, after that, start teaching the topic. What is how to construct a circle, or before constructing the angles, and you can try such patterns. And there are something, instead of using the pencil, you can fix the paintbrush. Let them have a nice painting using the compass. Okay, that also will be a good idea. Instead of introducing directly using the pencil, do like this, draw a circle and all. So try some interesting way that you can bring the students into that concept. Thank you. Is there any questions?
these are some of the links that you can just you can note it down. Because there are many things on it. Do you have any questions? There's a feedback form, I think, so I just put it on that here.
Yeah, I want to do that.
All of it, you need to get it. You have one? Yeah, there's so many.
Bye.